All right, so what's going on, guys? We got a special episode today, and in this episode, we got Eric Levine of the Peoria Rivermen, who's a goaltender in the SPHL. Eric, how are you?
Doing good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, a little bit about you. You're born in Wheeling, Illinois, and you played youth hockey with like the Glenview Stars and the Skokie Flyers, right?
Yeah. I spent most of my youth with Glenview, and then left over when I was a midget to play for Skokie, and then had a couple friends on the team from my first year at Skokie that ended up playing for the now defunct Chicago Force out of West Meadows.
Ooh.
So after my first year, they had I think a goalie might have quit the team or something happened early in the season, and then the team needed a third goalie. So kind of got an audition with them, and based on kind of recommendations from some of my Skokie Flyers players, and ended up making the Chicago Force, and yeah, it's kind of all started it from there.
That's awesome. It was a junior B team, right?
Yeah, it was Junior B, same league that is now the NA3. So it was the old SPHL back then, and we played out of West Meadows, which is funny because the team that we ended up playing a lot was the Peoria Mustangs, which are still a team, and obviously where I'm playing at now. The old Junior B team.
Yeah, I actually just got done with a men's league game yesterday at West Meadows too, so that's funny.
Meadows Stomping Grounds.
It is. And then after you played with the Chicago Force, you went on to play in the OPJHL with the Wellington Dukes, and then the CJHL with the Pembroke Lumber Kings. What was it like playing for those teams, and what was it like playing for the junior teams?
Yeah, it was obviously a big culture change from coming from the States, playing Junior B, which wasn't the most serious or really well attended games, but then you go up to Canada and you realize how important the junior hockey culture is, and just the investment that the towns have in the team. And yeah, it was quite a change. It was a good change of scenery, and things didn't work out too well for me in Wellington. I had a friend that played on the team up there, so I kind of got a tryout with the coach, but he ended up taking me, which was cool, but I was the third goalie and didn't really play much. And then the coach wanted to send me down to their Junior B affiliate, but kind of as a 19-year-old, my first time in Canada, I didn't really want to take a step backwards. So asked for a trade and ended up getting traded to Pembroke, which couldn't have been the better opportunity for me, and worked out really well, and ended up winning 2 championships with the Lumber Kings. And our coach at the time was Sheldon Keefe, who just recently got hired as the Toronto Maple Leafs coach. And so it was an awesome experience to be up there, and really good teams, and I had some good 2 years, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seemed like a great experience, especially after winning those cups.
Yeah, anytime you can win a championship was cool, but I say it was, something in junior hockey. We played best of 7, 3 rounds. We played a lot of playoff games, very similar to what the NHL does, and it was my first taste at kind of what real junior hockey was about. And going through a playoff grind that lasted almost 2 months was a good awakening into what kind of professional hockey would be like. And yeah, the teams we had were awesome, and we obviously had a great coach, but I was the backup my first year, and then I ended up taking over the starting job and played my second year. And so it was oh my god, sorry.
No, you're good.
It was it was neat to be a part of championships with kind of 2 different teams and 2 different positions on the team.
Yeah, for sure. What was it like playing in Canada, since hockey is such a big thing over there?
Yeah, hockey's everything over there. It's the most important sport. It is absolutely what drives that whole country. It's something that everyone, from when you're a youth to juniors or college, whatever, people love hockey, and it was really neat to be in a country where you turn on the TV and it's not basketball or football highlights; it's all NHL highlights. So it's a country that loves hockey and loves to support the local junior teams, and everyone plays, whether it's men's league in the backyard or at some point collegiately or professionally. So people are well educated and they kind of know the game, and they're really good fans. And yeah, it's just the hockey immersed country. So it was a lot of fun for sure. Someplace I would move back to, definitely.
That's awesome. Seems like a hockey heaven up there.
Yeah.
What was your favorite memory of playing junior hockey?
I would say definitely. It was cool when I went up to Pembroke. I got to go with with one of my best friends from the force, Mike Santee. Him and I kind of grew up playing hockey together, and we were both fortunate to make the Lumber Kings. And I would say the best memory for sure was not once but twice. I was able to kind of hand him the cup after we won in our celebration, and just something cool that, you know, two kids from Chicago going all the way up to Pembroke, Ontario, and bringing the city championships and being able to hand the cup to him and be a part of that celebration was something I'll never forget.
That seems like a surreal experience that you'll never forget.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, it's cool that they gave us, you know, we got rings from the team, and, you know, my parents still have them. And it's something, you know, for sure, as I reflect upon my career, I'll look back and be really proud of kind of what I did for each of those, to be part of those teams. And, you know, the first team when I was there as a backup, actually a quick funny story, my goalie partner, who was our starter, we were set to play in our first playoff series, and the practice before our game one, he ended up pulling his shoulder out, and I ended up having to go in and play the first series. So it was kind of cool to get some action. And then the second go around with them, I was on the team for the first 2 months, and then I was actually traded away and then traded back for the same season. So I got dealt from Pembroke and then got dealt back to Pembroke and won. So kind of in each of the years, there was, you know, little moments where I had something really cool happen, or just a really good experience that kind of built a lot of character. And it was just a learning. It was a development, and it was my first real taste into what actual high level hockey is like. And like I said, I was so fortunate to be coached by Sheldon Keefe, who obviously has worked his way up and is now with the Maple Leafs. And I can tell you, he's as good of a coach as advertised, and taught me so much about the game. So my junior experience couldn't have been any better. And ultimately it led to my goal, which was to play Division I college hockey, and was fortunate to get a scholarship out of that league. And so, yeah, it really couldn't have worked out any better for me.
Yeah, for sure. So like you said, after juniors, you got a scholarship to play D1 at Robert Morris University of Pennsylvania. What was like the biggest difference from playing junior to college?
With junior hockey, you play with good players, no doubt. But I played junior hockey when I was 19 and 20. So I was one of the older guys, and you play against 16 and 17-year-olds that are really good, no doubt. But in college hockey, you know, you play against some guys that are 23 years old, and they're men and they're strong. The biggest difference is just the speed and the strength. I mean, we played college hockey, but we almost trained like a football team, and it's just amazing how big and strong and how fast these guys were. It's just a different game. It's way more up and down. It's way more linear hockey. It's more shoot the puck, crash the net, get traffic in front. So having to deal with bigger bodies and just the speed of the game was most noticeable. And you know, we played a fairly strong non-conference schedule all 4 of my years. So I got to see top 5 teams in the country and play against some players that went on to win the Hobey Baker or went on to play prominent time in the NHL. And so getting to see some of the best of college hockey was pretty awakening. But yeah, the biggest thing for sure is just the speed and the strength of the game. Something that you adapt to, but yeah, you play against men, you don't play against boys.
Yeah, for sure. Seemed like a really cool experience for you.
Yeah, I was fortunate too. I was supposed to come into Robert Morris with another fellow freshman goalie. It was supposed to be 2 of us coming in, and then there was a sophomore there. And the freshman that I was supposed to come in with failed his clearinghouse, which is the NCAA clearinghouse test, or whatever the qualifications for getting your grades in order. And he ended up failing that, so he couldn't even get into school. So I was really fortunate that I came into a program where I was one of 2 goalies. Typically in college, you have 3, if not 4 guys that are battling for ice time. So each of my first 3 years, I got to play, about 30 games, about 12 a year, 10 or 12 games a year, my first 3 years. And then that kind of prepared me for my last year when I played, when I started every game of the season. So most times freshmen, especially goaltenders, they have to sit. It's rare that you even get a game as a freshman or a sophomore. And so I kind of lucked out where the other goalie coming in never even arrived, and I was given a great opportunity to play, and definitely prepared me for my last year, which is where I got the majority of my ice time and got a lot of my scouting, which helped kind of springboard me into pro hockey. And so, yeah, just fortunate all around that it worked out, but it was a great experience and something you don't really get to ever go through again with. You have the same teammates for 3 or 4 years, and you develop really good relationships with them, because in juniors and pro, you get a lot of guys moving in and out, and it's rare you stick with the same group for year after year. So you develop a lot closer relationships with your teammates, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. Did your during your 4-year career at RMU, you had a record of 30, 22, and 11, posting a 2.69 goals against average, and you sit 25th all-time with a .925 save percentage. How much did it mean to you for the 25th all-time in NCAA D1?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think my dad was more someone that pointed that out to me than I was even aware of. I mean, that's anytime you're, I guess, recognized as maybe a top 30 collegiate goalie. I mean, you look at some of the names of Ken Dryden and Ryan Miller and Jimmy Howard and Ben Bishop. I mean, there's guys down the ranks that have played college hockey, and so it's neat to be maybe considered in that. And I've always thought and I've always believed that a goalie's save percentage is more indicative of their performance than a goals against average. I think a goals against is more of a team stat. And a save percentage is more about your skills as an individual. So it's certainly cool to be recognized. I think my goal every year was to have above a 920. But looking back, it's kind of a smoke and mirrors type of stat, because a lot of college hockey is come in over the blue line, shoot the puck, and crash the net. So if you're good with your rebound control and you're set on the first shot, you should be able to make around 920 of the 1,000 shots you face. Whereas in professional hockey, you have a lot more pull-ups, a lot more guys looking to make plays, and a lot more guys opting to pass the puck for better scoring chances. So the game was, I wouldn't say easier, it was certainly still hard, but it was a lot of shooting the puck from the wall and stuff that, as long as you were set, and I'm the big guy that was out on top of my crease, I felt like I could handle that level. But yeah, it's certainly neat to, after my career, to kind of look back and say, yeah, I put up some good numbers, and I said I had nothing but fond memories of my college career, and definitely had some games where I thought I played really well, so they were fun.
That's always a good thing. What was your favorite college hockey memory?
It would definitely be my senior year. We played in the Christmas tournament, the Three Rivers Classic, which for us in Pittsburgh, it was the first year that the new Consol Energy Center was opened, and they tore down the Mellon Arena where the Penguins used to play. And it was during the lockout year, so there wasn't hockey going on during the season. So there was a ton of people that showed up to our Christmas tournament. It was, I believe, us, Ohio State, Penn State, who was the new Division I program, and then Miami of Ohio, who was the 5th-ranked team in the country that year. And we ended up beating Penn State the first game, because the way the college tournaments work is you have 4 teams and you play a semifinal and a final game. So we beat Penn State 6-0 the first game, and then we ended up playing Miami of Ohio in the championship game Saturday night, and we ended up beating them 1-0. And I made 51 saves that game, and ended up having 99 saves on the weekend. So I had back-to-back shutouts, and it was just really cool, though, to do it at the new Pens rink. It was a gorgeous facility. We had the Penguins national anthem singer was there, and there's maybe about 12 or 13,000 people. And like I said, it was just Pittsburgh's a huge hockey town and a huge supporter of the Penguins. And without really NHL hockey being played, they were kind of excited to see some sort of high-level hockey. So we had a really good turnout fan-wise, and it was special that my parents and my brother flew in and were able to see the games. That was probably the most important thing to me, is I had my family there. But yeah, just one of those weekends where it seemed like no matter what you did, the puck was hitting you. And anytime you can have back-to-back shutouts, but to have a 51 save shutout and a 1-0 win against the 5th-ranked team in the country, I don't know how you can top that. So
awesome.
I would say that's probably my best memory.
Yeah, that must have been a lot of fun when you shut out the 5th-ranked team.
Yeah, it was cool for obviously the personal reasons, but I think more so just we were unfortunate enough we didn't win a league championship, so we never got to raise a trophy. But you were awarded a trophy, and there was a ceremony, and to kind of see our team get to come together like that. And my roommate and one of my best friends was our captain that year, and he was the original walk-on defenseman and ended up being one of our best defensemen. And he was a local Pittsburgh guy, so he got to kind of go and get the cup from I believe it was Dan Bilesma, who was the Pens coach at the time, awarded us the cup. And so for me to see one of my best friends and someone who's from Pittsburgh and had probably 50 family and friends in town, to see him get to go and kind of lift the cup up, and then we had a little ceremony with it, was really special. So yeah, that was something I'll never forget, and just an awesome experience all around.
Yeah, that just seems unreal. It seems sick.
Yeah, every time I look back on it, it's kind of seems cooler and cooler. I mean, you don't really notice it, or I guess you don't really appreciate it in the moment. And but as you know, looking back and seeing some old pictures or going through some old video footage, it was something that I'll show my kids and my grandkids one day in terms of some of my better accomplishments in my hockey career. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, for sure. If you could redo your whole college career, would you, or would you keep it the same?
No, I would probably keep it the same. I wish I had a little better gear. I don't think I had the best gear when I was there. I don't really think I wore my gear correctly. I don't think I was I mean, obviously, I'm 7 years removed from college, and I'm a much better goalie now. I wish I would have known a lot of the things that have helped me be successful in my later stages of my career that I could have applied to college hockey, but that's all sort of hearsay. And, in the moment, college taught me a lot of lessons, not just for hockey wise, but I had a great academic experience too. So there wasn't much I would change. And for sure, it gave me the opportunity to kind of play where I am now. And no, for sure, it was something that I had nothing but good memories and wouldn't want to change for anything.
Yeah, for sure. That seems awesome. So after your career in college came to an end at Robert Morris, you signed a PTO with the Syracuse Crunch of the American Hockey League, and you're the third string as they went all the way to the Calder Cup Finals. What was that experience like for you, and what did you learn?
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, I passed up on a few opportunities to play in the East Coast Hockey League that year because I wanted to try to get to the highest level that I could. And Syracuse came in with PTO, and Tampa was at the Three Rivers Classic, and they saw me play, and they really liked me. So, I think if I would have understood a little more about how pro hockey worked, I probably should have taken the opportunity to play in the ECHL because I was offered to be a starter for a team that ended up actually going on to win the ECHL Kelly Cup. But at the time, you want to play at the highest level, and Syracuse offered me a PTO, and certainly was such a different just lifestyle and different game altogether. I mean, you're playing professional hockey on our team that year was Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat, Andrew Schuster, Radko Gudas, so many of these guys that ended up playing in the NHL, and a lot of guys that were with Tampa for their Stanley Cup run. So I mean, I got to see some incredible players right off the bat, and when you're new to pro hockey, you don't know what's going on, you don't know how things work, and so to come into that type of environment where Steve Yzerman was walking around our hallways as the general manager and getting to interact with some of those guys was so cool. I felt so privileged. I kind of felt like I skipped I skipped the first 3 levels of playing a video game, and you just go right to the final level. You're just right in this Calder Cup run, and you don't really realize how big of a deal it is. But I mean, you're playing in the second best league in North America, and your team is buzzing, and we're winning games, and we're having fun. And it taught me a lot. But I mean, the coolest part for me, as a goalie, was getting to work with Franz Jean, who was our goalie coach for the Tampa Bay. Oh, he was goalie coach for Syracuse, and then now is the goalie coach for the Lightning. But he was there with us full time, and every day I would either go on with the team and sort of share the reps with the first goalie. And in playoffs, a lot of times you're playing back-to-back nights, or the starting goalie just might need some rest. It was Cedric Desjardins, so there was times where he just didn't want to practice because he was so tired from the game. So I would fill in for him, which was cool. Or I would just come on right after the team practice because usually he would get off right away. And then I would stay on and take shots for about 20 minutes with all the guys that wanted to do extra work. And then, I would stay on. We had a group of what we called the Black Aces. So in the American League or the NHL, when you go make a playoff run, you have to have everyone that's on your team there. So we had about 8 extra skaters and 1 extra goalie. So after the team practice was done, the Zam would come on, and then we'd have our entire own hour practice with just the 8 guys and myself. So, I had 8 guys shooting on me, and I had an NHL goalie coach one-on-one working with me. So, I was so privileged to have that sort of interaction and to hear all the advice that he gave me. And to this day, some of the things that he told me technical-wise and positional and just a lot about the mental side of the game are still things that resonated or that resonate with me. And like I said, I just so cool to be able to work with that caliber of a coach by your side for what ended up being 2 months. We ended up making a run to the finals. So yeah, it was a great introduction to pro hockey, and really cool that we ended up winning, but unfortunately we couldn't get it done. But yeah, it was just amazing to be part of that whole culture, and to be with those players was something I'll never forget.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And speaking of another awesome thing, you were invited that next summer to be with the New York Rangers development camp. What was that? What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was, more of the first kind of taste of what like a training camp is like in the National Hockey League. I mean, it wasn't the training camp; it was a prospects camp. But just in terms of how things were run and the organizational, responsibilities for how you kind of negotiate things like travel and accommodations and scheduling and things, it was neat to be part of a training camp setting. And it's funny, at the time, I didn't really know anyone that was there, but looking forward a couple years, some of my best friends that I've made in hockey ended up being on that roster, or part of that camp that I just didn't know at the time. So it's kind of funny how hockey works. But that was really cool. I thought I did really well. I thought I played phenomenal in the scrimmage games and everything. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to a contract. I mean, a big part of going to a camp like that as a free agent is you try to get a deal. You try to get a team to say, hey, we're going to sign you. That didn't happen, but the experience was really cool. And then I was fortunate enough that later that summer, I got invited to the Nashville Predators main training camp. So I kind of thought the Rangers thing sort of prepared me. I would have been a little blindsided and kind of been maybe a little more nervous had I gone into the Nashville situation without any sort of preparation for what a training camp is like.
Yeah.
So it was just good practice, and it was good experience. And I got to work with Benoit Allaire, who's the goalie coach for the Rangers and who's helped Henrik Lundqvist his whole life. So we had a couple goalie sessions, which again were so cool to be on the ice with arguably one of the top 5 goalie coaches of all time. So yeah, it was great, but it was good preparation for kind of what the pro scene was going to be like moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. So you've played with 11 teams as a pro so far. What's it like when you can be moved, traded, called up, or sent down at any time?
I mean, it's both stressful and exciting. I mean, the exciting part is, there's always opportunity, and there's always, for goaltenders specifically, you can be, as I've told many people, you can be completely out of the game, and you could have no teams that want you, and you could feel like you're done. And then that's on Thursday night, and then comes Sunday morning, you could have 4 teams calling you, and you could be moving up levels way faster than players because there's just very few goalie spots. And when they're full, they're full, and there's no room for you at all. But when they become vacant, you're in desperate need. So it's a really weird situation to be in. But it's both stressful and exciting. I really enjoyed the battle of trying to move up and down and play the highest level I could my first couple years pro, and thought I did a really good job of staying resilient through some teams that didn't really work out and through some failure situations, but I kind of stuck with it and, ended up playing well enough to earn American League deals and East Coast Hockey League contracts, and, was ECHL goalie of the week and earned an American League deal. And I kind of did all the things that I wanted to personally, but, for myself, nothing really compares to when you're with a team and you're going to be there all year. You have a lot of the stress taken away, and it's just the little things like you can unpack and you can decorate your room. You can make your room your own living space, because when you're not really sure if you're going to be there tomorrow, you don't really want to spend money and time and all these things to make your living quarters perfect, and you just kind of deal with what's there. And you don't really buy food in advance. You just kind of buy day for day. And so it's nice when you know that you're settled in, because you can kind of unwind, take a deep breath, and just realize, okay, this is where I'm at. And that's the situation I'm in right now in Peoria, where I know I'm going to be here all year. And it's kind of freed up my mental anguish, if you will. And it's just giving me so much more calm and, relaxed vibes. And it's just way easier to deal with personally. So I definitely was glad that I went through all those years where I didn't know where I was going to be, and taught me how to be very quick to move, and you have to adapt, and you have to be ready to sort of, you don't get that many opportunities. So you can get called up and your first game is tomorrow, and you got to go, drive or fly all night, and you got to get there and play, and you got to play really well your first game. And that's very nerve-wracking, but going through that, you learn how to handle that. And that's certainly played a part in a lot of my recent success. But from a personal standpoint, I really enjoy the sort of the situation where I know I'm going to stay all year, and it's just easier to play loose and play relaxed and play with the free and kind of calm mind. But yeah, I'm glad I've been through both of those situations for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good experience for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it teaches you a lot.
yeah. So right now you're currently with the Peoria Rivermen, like you said, and you're currently 6-0-1 right now. What's been going right for you and your team?
Well, we have the best coach in the league. I mean, our coach, he's been the best coach in this league for 7 years. He's absolutely incredible. So he's not only a good coach, but he's a fantastic recruiter. So he's brought in high level players, and we have a great team, obviously. But like any team in pro hockey, I mean, you're going to have good players and you're going to have depth players, and we just seem to have a team that has everything. We've got good penalty killing. We've got really good depth up front. We have strong, big defensemen. We've got puck-moving defensemen. We just have all the tools right now, and we're led by a guy that grew up in Peoria, in Alec Hageman, who, you know, has lived and breathed Peoria his whole life and is so proud to wear this C and goes out there every night and leads by example and is our most physical and our most hard-nosed player. So we just have a great team, but off the ice, we're just such good people, and we have a good blend of leadership, older guys such as myself and some other of our players that have been around or have been with Peoria for multiple years and understand how important it is to represent the Rivermen well and appreciate the opportunity that we have. And we've got a lot of young guys that are up and coming that want to move up, but also know they have to dominate down at this level. And we're just getting production up and down our lineup. And, you know, when you have good forwards, good defensemen, and you add in good goaltending, I mean, you're going to win a lot of games in this league. So it's been good so far, but it's very early, and there's a lot of hockey left to be played. So you just try to keep your nose down and go out there and win the next game.
Yeah, for sure. It seems when you got a team like that, it just keeps going uphill.
Yeah, and you know, I don't really have to go out there and, you know, be the absolute savior and, you know, make 45 saves a night. I just have to go out and make the saves that I need to, and I know our team's going to be offensively, you know, productive, whether it comes in the first period or lately it's maybe coming later in the second and in the third. Like, you just got to keep the team in the game. So, you know, for me, it's a lot easier knowing that I've been on teams that, you know, average less than 2 goals a game, and you're really gripping your stick and you're really saying, I got to go out there and pitch a shutout tonight, otherwise we got no chance. And it's a very nervous type of behavior to play with and doesn't really lead to consistent results. So going out there and knowing that your team is going to score and is capable of coming back and is capable of making noise, you go out there and just have fun, and you don't really worry about other than maybe keep it under 4 goals. I mean, if they keep it under 4 goals, we got a chance to win. So, I mean, it's been pretty easy for me so far.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a video of that you got in a little scrum a few weeks ago against Macon Mayhem. What happened during that?
Earlier in the period, one of their guys I thought was kind of embellishing and diving around, and he was a first-year player, and he was kind of acting like an idiot. So when I saw him in the little scrum kind of in my crease, I just let him know that, hey, this is pro hockey, and, you know, learn to skate and stay on your edges. And he didn't like that very much. So I didn't expect him, when I gave him a little shove and kind of, you know, told him to grow up, and I didn't think he was going to drop his gloves and start attacking me, but I guess it must have triggered him at the wrong time. And so he kind of tackled me to the ground, and luckily didn't get any punches in, just kind of tackled me. And then, you know, before I know it, I got about 8 guys on top of me and couldn't really move for a couple minutes, but it sparked definitely a sort of a line brawl, if you will, on the ice. And we handled business. You know, anytime you go after a goalie, you know, your coach is not happy, your teammates are not happy, and we got some pretty tough customers on our team, and we ended up, I think, pounding them pretty good. And more importantly, we ended up beating them that game, which was all I cared about. So that's part of hockey, and, you know, I definitely initiated it, and, you know, definitely probably started or deserved that, and I wasn't mad at all about you know, the guy wasn't suspended, or I think him and I just both got 5-minute penalties. Like, I was totally fine with everything that happened. It's hockey, and certainly had no hard feelings about it. But I got a pretty tough team in front of me, and we certainly handled business from then on out. So
that's always good. It's always fun to watch.
To get involved.
It's always fun to watch that as a fan.
Trust me, it was more fun to be a part of, and especially for how how much the fans were giving it to me. Later on in the game, like I said, beating them and ended up, I mean, we played them. That was our third game against them in a row. We ended up playing them 4 consecutive times and beat them all 4 times, and have kind of buried them in the bottom of the standings. So it felt way better to get the 2 points and the 4 points that weekend more than the fights. But yeah, it's fun to be involved, and I'm 31 years old, and I know I'm not going anywhere this year. So it's nice to mix it up a little bit, and keeps me on my toes.
Always a fun time. All right, so you own a goalie camp called the Midwest Goalie School. How did it start up, and what's it like being the owner of the school?
Yeah, so the goalie school was actually founded in 1982. It's been running for 30 years, and it's a place that I actually went to when I was a youth goalie. I went there every summer, so I was familiar with the goalie school. And when I was 15 or 16, whatever, I kind of started working part-time and volunteer work, just because as whatever, you're a freshman in high school and you have to do some sort of volunteer work for your school, and I asked to help start coaching. And years later, I kind of just went back every year and really enjoyed coaching, because it's nice to sort of work with goalies that are younger and get to pass on the knowledge and the skills that you were used to, or that you learned, or that you thought could help them. And the goalie community itself is just a great thing to be a part of, no matter if it's the goalie across from me in the net or a kid that I work with. I mean, you're kind of all on the same team. So any chance you have to help out some fellow goalies, you really feel good, and you really know that advice that you're giving them is really well received and appreciated. And I've always enjoyed the satisfaction of when you see a kid that just gets better or picks up something you say and it makes a difference in their game. There's nothing better in the world than when you can make an impact. And especially for this position, there's just so few people out there that have the skills or have the knowledge to really make a difference in a goalie's game and understand what that person's going through mentally and technically. And so I just had always gravitated towards the goalie camp. And then once the original owner had passed along the goalie camp to someone else, I kind of became the second man in charge and started having more responsibility with registration and sort of running more of the dry land and organizing things, which gave me really good experience for eventually when I purchased the goalie camp from that second owner who sold it to me. And I kind of got to make my own mark on how I thought a camp should be run and what I thought it should entail, and the sort of thing that I would have really liked to do as a goalie myself, I try to implement into what we do. And I try to get high-level shooters and good goalie coaches that, all the guys that work for me are all goalies that play college or play pro or have really high-level experience. So they understand the current game, and they're hungry and they want to teach, and they all appreciate, the position that we're in. So really fortunate. I've been running it for, I think this is my 6th year in charge, and we've tried to grow and adapt and do things every year that are a little different. And we've had a lot of return business and a lot of new business. So it's definitely working. And I'm lucky, man. I work with awesome kids, and I deal with really neat parents, and I have the best job in the world. So it's something that's been really good for me. Keeps me involved and, keeps me on the ice. So it really couldn't be a better situation for kind of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, it just seems awesome. Seems awesome what you're doing. Just keep doing it.
And it's fun every now and then. You're used to taking shots all year and eating pucks, and it's nice to get the forward stick out and snipe some goalies sometimes. Yeah. That feels really good, especially when I work with my junior goalies or the goalies that are older, and you get to go full on and you get to snipe them. There's nothing better.
What's your main goal for the camp?
It's hard to say because I'm still playing. So, professional hockey takes up a majority of my year. So the summer camp is always kind of my summer job. And it's always the goal just to provide high-level coaching, technical training, mental and spiritual guidance for goalies that want to get better, and give goalies a chance to come for, even if it's just 1 week, or for a lot of kids, they come 2 or 3 weeks, but just give them an experience during the week where it's all about them. I mean, during the season, it's all about the team, and they're more or less targets in the net, and they don't really get a ton of help and feel a little bit isolated and sort of on an island. So we try to make their experience really positive and said surrounding them with goalies and goalie coaches and people that understand and appreciate what they go through. So more than that too, like honestly, I've seen over the years as we get more involved, and we've been doing this for longer, you see the same kids come back every year, and you can just tell when you see them get together that they themselves develop friendships, and they themselves are playing against these their buddies that they're at camp with. They see during the year, because we group a lot of the ages very similarly. So someone that they might see, if a kid plays for the Huskies and he plays against the goalie from the Chargers, it's like they know each other from being at Midwest Goalie School, and you can just tell there's that instant friendship. And I said the goalie community goes above and beyond sometimes your regular season culture. And I think these goalies all getting together, and you can see how they bond and how the fun they have and develop friendships that hopefully last. And all my best friends that I have currently are all guys that I played with or against, or are goalies. And so getting to provide that sort of environment and getting to be a part of their development is really special. And particularly, like I said, working with some of our kids and just seeing them mature and grow over the years and develop into some really good goalies. And we've got a lot of kids in the pipeline that have a chance to play high level hockey. We have one of our kids that made the development team last year. We've got a ton of goalies that have gone on to play Division III and Division I college. A couple of our goalies I even work with play in my league or play in the ECHL, and a lot of kids right now that we work with in the AAA ranks that are 13 or 14 or 15, you can just tell are going to be studs one day. So to kind of be there and be a consistent kind of framework for them to want to come back to, because most times we see kids for 1 or 2 weeks a year. We see them in the summer and that's it. So we try to really value that experience, and I think we do a good job with it. And so just a lot of great people in the goalie community, and I have a ton of fun doing it. And I'm surrounded by good coaches and good people. So, I mean, it really is, it's fun and it's rewarding at the same time. And, it helps to pay the bills and offset the, the salaries that we make in minor league hockey.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is your future plans, like after you get done playing pro?
I'm certainly going to be involved in the goaltending coaching, community in some way. I mean, I've been offered or have thought about jobs with organizations to be to be a goalie director, which, we're with one organization right now. We're the goalie directors for the Northern Express Park Ridge Hockey Association. So, one of my coaches stays back during the year. He's a teacher, and he runs all the goalie coaching for the clinics and the practice visits and stuff like that. So I can imagine that I'll be involved with probably one or multiple organizations. And then from there, I don't know if we're going to continue to run the summer camps. It seems to be such a easy sort of thing because everyone's off in the summer, and that's when everyone wants coaching and wants training. So I really can't see us completely eliminating that. But in terms of coaching, I'll still be involved. And then I hope to really get heavily involved into yoga. I'm taking my yoga teacher training next fall, and something that is really a passion of mine. So if I can sort of, blend or even have both sides of teaching yoga and being involved in that community, and also still staying current with the goalie coaching and doing stuff that makes me happy. I mean, both of those things would be awesome to work with. So I can envision myself having, both of those cohesive things in my life for sure.
That's awesome. Where's like your main like camps, your bigger camps around the Chicago area?
Yeah, so we're mostly, we travel from rink to rink. So, every week is at a different rink. We try to hit different locations, but we go to Canland, Romeoville, Rocket, and Bolingbrook. We do a lot out in the North Shore. So at North Shore Ice Rink, at Wilmette Ice Rink. We have usually our advanced camp for our junior and college kids, Seven Bridges Ice Rink. And then we do a couple tune-ups at the Leaf Center out in West Dundee and at West Meadows. So, we really try to circle about a 2-hour radius and try to spread ourselves out and try to hit all the different areas so the kids don't have to travel too far. But yeah, we mostly stay in the north, in the northwest suburbs-ish.
That's awesome. I love what you guys are doing as a goalie school and like everything pretty much.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's rewarding, and it's a job that you go to, and you wake up and I'm actually excited to go see, because you get to see so many great kids, and you see, obviously you have every type of kid, the crazy ADD kids and the ones that don't want to listen and the ones that do want to listen, but for the most part we get such good kids that are there to get better, and you can tell that they just value and they appreciate you sharing your time and you doing drills and you working with them and you trying to make them better. So that sort of interaction is more important or is more valuable than a paycheck or anything like that. It's fun work, and I was lucky to have great mentors, great coaches that, if I didn't have that sort of leadership, and if I didn't have that sort of coaching that helped me when I was developing, I would nowhere be playing where I'm at right now. So it feels like it's sort of my duty to give back and to hopefully influence some of those kids to pursue their careers, because as a goaltender, I mean, as you know, like, it's not easy, and usually you're not very good up until you mature as like a 23, or I would say I didn't even become the goalie that I really feel like was my true potential till I was like 29 years old. So, up until that point, it's just a lot of failure and then learning and then getting better and then failure and learning. And sometimes you just need the support. And, that's kind of what I try to do, is offer that support to the goalies of, hey, just stick with it, man. And it's going to be okay if you have a tough couple months or you have a tough year, or doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. And I think sort of that encouragement is probably the most well-received that we get from feedback from goalies and the parents particularly, is just encouraging them to stick with it, because it's a tough position, but the more you do it, the better you get. And, someday, hopefully you have a lot of kids that play college and kind of get to live out their maximum potential as a goalie. And so there's nothing better than that. So,
yeah, goalie is a tough position, but
yeah, it's the toughest.
I love it.
Yes, it's also the most rewarding, and there's nothing better, because you have the ultimate control of the game, and if they can't get it past you, they can't win. So that type of that type of control you have over the outcome is something that no other hockey player will ever experience, and it's a pretty cool feeling when you go out there and you're the backbone of a team, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for coming on. I think that's all we got for today. So
Awesome,
thank you
man.
for coming on.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
My pleasure, dude. Anytime. And if you ever get up to Peoria, let me know, and I'll get you some tickets, and we'll meet up after the game.
I will, for sure. Sounds good.